All right, everybody. Welcome back to Movie Talks and Chill. We're your hosts. I'm Tony Serrato.
Hi, I'm Gavin Butts.
I'm Patrick Wall.
And this is such a
Tony,
very special episode.
You want me to, can I take the intro on this one?
You can go ahead and take the intro on this one.
Because I just need to come to terms about what
Yes.
we're about to talk about.
Yes, it's happening.
So you could hear the tone of me and Gavin right now, and then you could also hear Tony's glee. So in this year, at the time of this recording, Gavin has already had his birthday.
Thank you.
Which one?
Literally...
Which one?
Well, we'll get to it.
Okay.
And my birthday is literally 6 months and 3 days after him. So he is my future. And we're turning 40 this year. Gavin is the big 4-0, and I will be in June. And because me and Gavin have been trying to fight this, even though you can't fight a concept like time.
Time is not a concept. Time is a construct.
That's the word I was looking for. So Tony, in his infinite wisdom, in honor of Gavin's birthday and me turning the big 4-0, we are going to be talking about movies that are turning 40 years old.
Which, in translation, movies that came out in 1985.
The year me and Gavin were born.
Which is another great year for movies.
Very much so.
Yes, indeed.
But they're turning 40. And they're already 40.
You know what? Stop saying the F word. I haven't hit it yet.
I was playing golf a couple weeks ago with
I was with you.
No, different time. It was a couple weeks ago,
Ryan.
and I was with some other friends of mine, and they all call me T, and there was two of us playing, two of the other guys playing behind us. So he hits the ball, it's coming at me, and so he yells 40. 40. Gavin's 40. Happy birthday, you're 40. Over the hill and through the woods to grandmother's house. We
I thought over the hill was 50.
No,
No.
40.
Oh, no.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No,
Oh,
I
I should have
still
waited
had-
to tell you that.
I had 10 years and 6 months left.
No, you got 6 months left.
I thought I had 10 years and 6
The year of your rotting stage of your body begins.
I am drinking when I get home today.
Yes, they are finally turning the decade that I have been in.
Since we started the podcast.
Welcome.
Don't do that. Your body just, it hates you afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. A couple of weeks ago, I went a little too hard and laid me out for like a day and a half.
Yeah.
So happy birthday, Gavin.
Thank you.
Happy 40th birthday, Gavin. And happy future 40th
Thank you,
birthday
Tony.
to you. Happy birthday, 1985. You're 40 now.
Oh. That was a rough pill to swallow.
Yep. Wow. And so we're going to run you down fun memory lane. And the beauty thing is you were born the years that most of these that I consider classics came out.
There are a great many of classics on this
So
list.
buckle up, listeners, because we're about to take you on a wild ride through a 40th anniversary. I need a laugh track or something, or a clapping track. You know, like in all the sitcoms when one of the regular people walks in the door or something.
Yeah, right.
Hey, everyone, yeah! All right, so we'll play a little game for this episode, too. So if anytime somebody hears the word 40, they have to take a drink. We'll make it into a drinking game. Not you.
I finished my
For the
Celsius.
listeners.
Yeah, the listeners.
Well, they're hammered by now.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you have to go back and drink for every time we've said it so far.
Yes. Yes. And it's 3 a.m. They already have been at the club all night.
It's like a...
Not if they were born in 1985.
Yep.
We
Not
we did a me and one of my buddies did a drinking game for a beer fest, and it was anytime you saw boobies, we'd do a shot. So we were basically drunk after the first 5 minutes of it. But then there's a good stretch of about an hour you don't see anything. So we pre-gamed for the end.
All right, everybody soak up this alcohol, get some chicken wings in you, some pizza here.
that's
Do
right.
it.
That should be our disclaimer for the episode. Eat before listening.
Yes. So we'll make it a fun drinking game for all of you when this episode comes out. Every time you hear the word 40, and yes, that counts when I intentionally say it.
You have to take a drink or a swig of beer, or if you're feeling real frisky, one shot of whiskey.
Yes. Now this
I
will
don't recommend you do that each time.
now this
That
particular
bottle's gone by now.
Right.
this particular example I'm going to give, you are waived from having to drink when I do this, so we cannot do something like saying 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40. Okay. Game over. Game back on now. Now you have to drink when they say
So that
40.
reminds me of the South Park movie. He's like, I can swing whatever I want. Fuck, fuck. Get to the principal's office. All he said was fuck. Kyle. Kenny.
So I'm going to run, what I'll do to kick this off, I'm going to run through a couple of the basics, probably the ones that everybody already knows, and then we're going to hit some.
Well, can we just hit our highs, me and Gavin?
You can hit your high.
Because I know at least my favorite and your favorite, it's on everybody's list. So I just want to get mine out of the way real quick. And it's Clue. That movie's amazing. Tony and I went to go see the stage adaptation of it, which was very funny. Especially the Professor Plum guy. You were laughing your ass off when you were watching it.
That's hilarious.
But Clue, it's a fantastic movie. I honestly thought that came out a little bit later, like 88, 89, somewhere around there.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's got to be my number one. I know what your number one would be, and I didn't want to steal it from you.
Okay. What about you, Gavin? I'll give mine in a minute.
I'm pretty sure I know what yours is too, but mine was the Goonies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my number two.
I had a VHS that I watched. Two of the movies I watched as a kid that I probably shouldn't have been watching, but I had a VHS that had 3 movies on it because it was a 6-hour VHS, and they taped it from HBO at the time. So I had Return of the Jedi, Goonies, and Howard the Duck. And so Goonies would definitely be my fave from 1985. Watch that just all of.
And
Anytime my parents want me to just sit down and shut up, they put that tape in, and I was good for 6 hours.
You sit down, you shut up.
You shut up and you watch this.
I just love the fact that the kid in that movie who played Gadget, I think his name was
Data.
Yeah, 39 years later, he got an Oscar after quitting acting for about 10 years. So anything is possible.
Yeah.
That's right. You could
Very much
find
so.
a pirate treasure. The movie has taught us that.
Or slip in between dimensions and fight Michelle Yeoh. Or fight alongside Michelle Yeoh. Because
Okay,
he
you
won
can
his
do that
Oscar
too.
for Best Supporting Actor.
You can do that too.
Yeah. And now he's got a new movie coming out that looks super interesting.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how hard he was. Dude, man, trained hard so he could do all his own stunts in that.
It looks like it. But I am excited for that one. That one doesn't seem really cool. And I love that kind of like sleeper agent, like, oh shit, it's time to get to work.
Yeah, right.
Darn it. It's time to get to work.
Okay, Tony, you're up.
I know your answer.
I mean, most people probably will, but there's so many. This decade brought out so many classics for me.
Year. This is 1 year.
Well, the year, but the 80s brought out a great decade. And, you know, but yes, Back to the Future would have to be up there as number one. I mean, there's a lot. As we go through it, I'm going to say it's a tie, but if I have to pick one, I'll pick that one.
I remember you and I, it was off mic and we were just at the bar chilling. I remember you telling me a piece of trivia that most movie critics consider Back to the Future the closest thing a movie can get to being perfect.
Closest to a perfect movie. Yes. Yeah. It's actually been in film schools. It's been panned that way or been called that. Not panned. It's been called that. It's just because it's got a little bit of everything minus horror, really. I mean, but it's not meant to do that. But I mean, it's got, you have your science, you got technology or science fiction. It's funny, so it's humorous. You have drama, you have suspense. I mean, it's got, and it's basically bam, bam, bam. It's 1, 2, 3. We are following the pattern, and it's good. I mean, it's a great movie. I mean,
it really is.
But there's so many out there. So I'm just going to run through a few of them. And again, as we go through this, because we only have an hour, and this is a long list of movies, and we want to obviously, we're not just going to read them off and say, okay, this, and this. We're going to talk a little bit about them as we normally do. So if we miss anything, again, let us know on
We're going to hit the highlights. And
yes.
I want to talk about a couple of movies I didn't even know existed that came out in 1985 that I now want to track down and watch.
Same.
Okay. So
let's start us off, Mr. Tony.
So a couple of people don't realize there was 2 back-to-back John Hughes
And these are
movies.
movies that are 40 years old, right?
Yes, they're all from 1985. So John Hughes had 2 back-to-back movies in 85, which both starred Anthony Michael Hall.
One was Breakfast Club.
That's correct.
The other
You
was...
gotta know what the other one was.
16 Candles?
No. You gotta know what the other one
Weird
was.
Science.
That was a John Hughes movie?
Yeah.
I did not know that. This is wild, totally different from most of his other movies.
Now, I believe
I was going to bring up Weird
if I
Science.
remember correctly, I believe he wrote it. I don't know if he actually directed that
okay.
one, but I know he definitely wrote it.
I will say, I know the movie stars Robert Downey Jr., and I know the premise where they make a genie, but it's Elizabeth Hurley, I believe, in the movie, right?
First off, it's not a genie.
It's a
It's a
computer
robot.
simulated girl.
That can grant wishes.
And Robert Downey Jr. is not the star; he's the heel of the movie.
Yeah. And it's Kelly LeBrock, who
See.
is the woman. You really messed that up.
So I was going
See,
to
I remember nothing about the movie.
say, I know I've seen the movie, but I remember the TV show more than the movie.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Hey, it happens.
We're talking about the movie one.
So a couple.
Gathered.
I'll mention a couple other big ones. So 85 was also a back-to-back year for Michael J. Fox. So he did Back to the Future. He also did Teen Wolf, which was a phenomenally fun movie.
Yes.
I love Teen Wolf.
I just love the ending where he just wolves out and starts dunking on in the basketball court.
Oh yeah. Well, technically, he actually goes back to his human self at the end.
Yeah.
Because he realized that he doesn't need the wolf.
Right.
It is a really good werewolf movie, but I will say my favorite werewolf movie is An American Werewolf in London.
Well, they're completely different
Yeah.
type of movies. I mean, one is strictly a teen comedy, and one's
And the other one is where
a
someone
horror.
loses control and just murders people.
Yeah, it's called
like
horror.
Cronenberg like trans monster movie. Because I will say that even though I watched it as a little kid, and it freaked me the hell out, but that transformation scene in the living room,
Yeah.
that was cool. That kicked ass.
I would say it's like kind of comparing Twilight to Underworld.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah, exactly.
Completely different premises
Exactly.
there.
It's like John Wick to the Notebook.
It was no
Yeah.
sparkly vampires and underworld.
But I loved in Teen Wolf when the father, when he first starts changing, when he has no control, and he's changing, and the dad's like, he's in the bathroom, he's like, Scott, you open that door, and he's like, no, Dad. He's like, Scott, whatever it is, I'll understand. He's like, I don't think
you
so.
will.
And he finally opens the door, and his dad's all wolfed out too, and he's like, we should probably have a talk. But then he's like, well, I was hoping it would skip a generation.
Yeah,
he's like,
sometimes it happens.
Yeah, he's like, it didn't skip, it landed on my face.
Dad, it landed on my face.
But he uses his with his friend Styles. He uses his wolf ability to, because he's got better senses now with smell, and he finds his weed stash for him. He's like, "What else can you do with it?" He's like, "Well, I can find your stash." So fun movie, but that was again a back to back for those. So some of these, you're going to see that have same director, same actors and stuff throughout '85. But those are a couple of the highlights. So
It did have my least favorite of the vacation movies.
Yes.
The dumb vacation, European.
yep, Pig and a Pope.
1985. Pig and a Pope.
Pig and a Pope. The only thing I liked, I mean, there are a couple funny moments
Yeah.
in there, like when they get stuck in the roundabout. And look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament. Big Ben, Parliament.
Big Ben.
Parliament. Because nobody's letting them out. They're stuck in the roundabout.
So I've never seen European Vacation, but that sounds exactly like one of the scenes from Speed. And he's like, "Oh, we're at the airport." And he's like, "So? Well, I've already been to the airport." And that was Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yep.
I can't remember his real name at the
Unfortunately, most people can't. And that's a shame because he's actually
Alan,
a good actor.
moment.
That guy.
Alan Ruddick, I think.
I don't know. I honestly
he was,
don't know if you said it. I know who you're talking about. I just don't know his name.
He had a pretty starring role on Spin City too for a while. He was the pervy one.
Well, he had a
Yeah.
main role in Twisters. He was big in there.
The Twister.
Twister.
Yeah, not plural.
Not
He's
plural.
like, well, I told you to roll the maps. I was like, I do. Then why is there a big crease through Utah?
Roll
the
the
maps.
So, yes, it's that time. Tell us some of your movies. But, actually, I do want to say one other thing about European Vacation is there's one scene because it's got William Zaps or whatever, Johnny from Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid. He's the boyfriend of Audrey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't go with him, and she's trying to call him, from overseas. But they're at dinner one day, one of the nights, and they're like in I think they're in Germany at that point, and she picks up like this big kielbasa, and she's like, God, I miss Jack.
Yeah. She made collect calls home for $1,000 or something like
Yeah,
that.
so she's calling him, and she's like, hey, I miss you. And she's like, oh, what's that? Your mom's calling you for dinner? Okay, yeah, I'll hold.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, I'll hold.
Yeah, especially back in 1985 when calls were You had to usually do long distance, regular in the country long distance on Sundays because it was half
Yep.
off because it was like $8,000 a nanosecond. So anytime if you lived out of state from your family, Sunday would be the day to call between like noon and 5.
Right.
Because they lowered the rates for a short period
It's
of
like
time.
back in the day when you had cell phone minutes, but nights and weekends were free.
Yeah.
So you never called anyone unless it was after like 6 or
Yeah.
it was Saturday or Sunday.
Yep.
Don't call me.
And then you could send a text for 10 cents a message, coming and going.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you couldn't stop the incoming either. I'm like,
Yeah.
stop texting me.
No.
I remember one time, and I still apologize to this day, I racked up a $300 text messaging bill one month from texting so much. It was 10 cents a text, and I got up to $300.
All right then.
And you couldn't even sext back then because you couldn't get pictures.
I know, right?
It also took you an hour to type up a damn sentence because you had to click the 5 button.
111-33-1133.
And if you, when the phones did come out with taking photos, you could you could text them to somebody, but it took a little bit. But
it was
the
also
only other
like-
way it was to email it to yourself so you could download it
Yeah.
on your computer.
Yeah,
It wasn't just
exactly.
a plug and play
It
type
also
thing.
had like 5 pixels. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
To say these things were low res was an understatement.
yeah. But they look great on that little mini screen.
Oh yeah. That one screen is fine.
I like how back in the day, everyone was like, "Oh, you see my new phone? It's like super small, it's so dope." And now it's like, "Did you see my phone? It opens up. It's like
Yeah.
a goddamn book."
I have a MacBook in my hand.
Yeah.
Hell, most of the phones nowadays are more powerful than a MacBook.
Yeah.
Now there's another movie. This one isn't to people like me. It is a very classic movie, and it does star the Brat Pack. Although John Hughes did not do, I don't believe he did this movie, or at least directed it. But it's called St. Elmo's Fire.
So I've heard of that movie. I know it's critically acclaimed. Never seen it.
Okay. Well,
I don't think I've seen that.
I did read the description. I'm a little upset it doesn't have an actual fire.
yeah, it doesn't. It's
It's not like the
basically.
Towering Inferno.
Have you seen it?
No, I don't believe so.
It's got like almost all the Brat Pack or the Brat Pack of that time. So you had Rob Lowe in there, Demi Moore, Kirstie Alley's in it, Emilio Estevez, Judd Nelson. I'm trying to think. Andrew McCarthy. There's a few other people in there. If I missed them, I apologize. But most of them are like
Because
graduates.
that whole
of-
crew is listening to this.
yeah,
episode.
they are. They are.
2 of them are really pissed.
I
right
know.
Oh, yeah, they
I
are.
know. I'm gonna get a knock on the door. Rob Lowe's gonna be like, "What?"
now. Well, you remembered him. He doesn't care.
Yeah, but he's gonna defend his friend.
Yeah, that's fair.
So they're basically most
Got
of
that
them are.
Parks and Rec money now.
They've graduated from Georgetown because they live in basically in the Lake Washington D.C. area, and so now they're trying to figure out their lives. Some of them already have jobs, but it's basically just about the inner activities and friendships of them. Because like Andrew McCarthy plays a guy who's in love with Judd Nelson's wife or girlfriend. Judd Nelson's cheating on her because he's going up into he's looking to get into politics, so he's working for whatever political office at time. One of them's like an architect or something or a designer. Demi Moore is like the party girl. I can't remember what she does off the top of my head. Rob Lowe's like he just like plays in a band. Emilio Estevez is the bartender at St. Elmo's Bar. But really, it's all it's about. It's basically about it's just one of those movies. It's all about relationships and friendships and the stuff they have to go through and the changes they go through. But it's a very good movie. So,
Okay.
but it came out in 1985 and it is 40 now.
It is. Yes, it is. So one that I haven't, and I'm surprised it took me 40 years to find this damn thing.
Oh, you can talk about the Star Wars one?
Ewoks: The Battle of Endor.
Biggest Star Wars fan ever, and had never heard of it.
Well, I think Disney buried it too.
Yeah, because this was you were telling us this was in the wake of that Christmas special debacle.
Yeah, that one came out in the 70s. So that one came out, I think, like right after A New Hope and either right after Empire or right before Empire.
Well, that's and again, so that's why
But you
What-
got to remember, Jedi came out in '84, didn't? If I remember correctly,
yes,
I think.
it did.
So,
It was 84.
and to all the kids, the Ewoks were very marketable, so they decided to make all the kids back then loved the Ewoks. Now everybody
Well, I mean,
hates them
they're
apparently. So
Cute and adorable.
yeah, so they wanted to make their own Ewok movie.
But I mean, I don't see anyone in here that I recognize that played anything from the Star Wars movie.
It really wasn't. It was like they basically just used the Star Wars name and the Ewoks and the planet. There's really no other
Wilford
connection to
Brimley
it.
was in this movie.
The Quaker Oats guy.
Yeah.
he was in this movie.
Before he had diabetes.
That's how he got that
Last
Quaker
night I
Oats
punched
money.
my wife. Then I remember she's been dead for 2 years.
Who the hell did I hit?
That's from Family Guy, by the way.
So, Ewoks Battle for Endor.
From the Wheat Brothers.
So, Tony, there's a movie that came out in 1985, and you've said on the show that you really, really liked this movie from your childhood. It's called Daryl.
Yes. DARYL, Data Analyzing Robot Youth Life Form.
I knew you knew that.
I know. I never
And
forget it.
I know I saw it as a kid, but the plot escapes me. You want to quickly run through it? Because I know we've talked about it.
Yeah,
Does not
yeah,
compute.
I have. Error.
Error.
I know I've given the description before, but I'll give a brief one for this one. He's a robot that's created from this lab as like a child to see if like an AI type thing, see if it can learn and all this other stuff. Well, they constantly do experiments on it, and he is almost like he basically has like flesh and blood. So one of the doctors gets really really attached to him and doesn't want to see him go through pain because like everything how they talk to him when he's hooked up to these things is through a computer. So it's like you see the words come up. So the doctor helps get him out of there. And it's basically a military operation. He gets him out of there, so the doctor gets chased down and killed. And then basically the kid gets found by these people out in the wilderness and gets put into a foster care type thing. And then they find a family for him who foster him. And the family starts taking him on. Nobody knows he's a robot. But they just think he's just a very odd, polite young man. Because he doesn't really show emotion. But the family, anyway, they get really attached to him. Then, long story short, the military people find out that he actually is still around. They have to take him back. And then he breaks out and goes back to the family.
Do not disassemble.
Yeah. But he's an actual kid. So the family gets attached to him, but they can't believe that, that he's a robot. But they go and visit him. I believe Sarah Jessica Parker, I believe, is in that. She plays one of the... wrong movie. She's in Flight of the Navigator. But there is a girl that plays.
I do like
someone
Flight
there.
of the Navigator.
Yeah. So, but that's wrong movie. But he befriends the people at the place, and then the doctor again tries to help him, and the whole end scene is he basically escapes by stealing. What was the stealth fighter plane back then? It's all black, very sleek. Was it stealth bomber?
CR-71 Blackbird.
Okay, then so that's what he learns how to fly it, and he takes it out, and they chase him down. They blow up the plane, but he ejects, and basically he finds his way home.
Aw.
But it's called Daryl, and he's got a friend that the neighbor's kid is named Turtle, and then
Did he later go on to go to Entourage?
no, different Turtle. He'd be a lot older now.
I know.
But yeah, the other point is he learns everything quickly, so he's playing pole position. He beats the high score instantly, and then his father goes to use the ATM to get money before they go to a game because he gets them in softball and stuff or baseball, little league, and the machine's not giving him anything. It's coming up with errors. Like, oh well, I'll just go to the bank tomorrow or whatever. And then Daryl walks up and he's typing all this stuff, and he just gets all this money out for him. He just reprograms the system. So, cute movie though, good movie.
That's
I
what I'm
like
talking about.
I need to find
Daryl
it.
in my life.
Yeah,
We all do.
yeah. When it comes to
Especially
ATMs,
nowadays.
yeah.
So there's a movie here that I know, I swear on my mother's life I've seen. But the only thing I know about it, it's called Better Off Dead.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
John
so-
Cusack.
So I do remember part of the beginning of the movie, his girlfriend dumps him, and then he decides to kill himself. But throughout the course of the movie, he really fails a few times, and then his friends help convince him, "Hey, don't do that." But outside of the overall plot, that's as much as I remember.
I think that's really all you need to know about it
Okay.
because all the rest of it's just goofy '80s comedy, that type. It was it was basically John Cusack's similar type '80s movies. He always was in those. I like Say Anything and all this other stuff, and it's just. If I remember correctly,
Weird
I think Better
Science.
Off Dead was the one where that kid was always chasing them, the paper kid who wanted the $2. Give me my $2. He's always chasing him.
I've already said everything I know about
No,
it.
I know. But there's this kid in that, and yeah, he's like, he owes him $2 from his paper route. He won't give it to him, but kid shows up everywhere. He's like, Lloyd, his character's name, I believe, is Lloyd. And he's driving his car, and the kid like is up on the hood. Give him my $2! My $2!
There's a Leslie Nielsen movie where they are parodying the Fugitive movie. Mm-hmm. And, in the beginning of the movie, like, his, like, bus crashes and it gets hit by a train and he's, like, escaping. And Leslie Nielsen in all of his glory, the train starts stalking him through the woods. He's like, Leslie Nielsen be like, where is it? And then you'll just see, like, this full-on train just, like, lean off from behind a tree and be like, I got you, bitch.
It's in quiet mode.
There's not even any tracks.
Well, one I know you definitely want to talk about, but I'll bring up one real quick, is this one, more of a serious movie that came out. Again, very good. It's called The Mask, or Mask, I'm sorry, not The Mask.
The Mask is a different movie that came out
Yeah,
in
it's
the
a Jim
90s.
Carrey,
Yeah,
completely different movie.
Oh, yes, very much different.
Yeah, so this one's Eric Stoltz and Cher. And Eric Stoltz was born with this bone disease.
Oh, yeah,
He's got, his head is very
I've seen that
much
movie.
disformed.
My mom really likes that movie.
Yeah, and it was basically just him getting through life. But I think he was born with it because his mother was in the biker group, and I think she either drank a lot or did drugs or something, which I think affected, him as a child or during the growth period,
right?
Before he was born. But really phenomenal role from Eric Stoltz there, man.
And even Cher, like, she was really good through that movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, his name was Rocky. His character name was Rocky in the movie.
And he fell in love with a blind girl.
Yep.
It had like it's terrible, but Family Guy did a reference to it. It was like, I just want to feel your face, and like she grabs, like she's like, oh my God! It's like, but I'm beautiful on the inside. Yeah, but there's a limit. Like, what am I touching here? Is this the rest of your face?
They also parodied it in 30 Rock, where Tracy Jordan is trying to help Kenneth the Page go on a date with this really pretty woman. And I think she goes on to be Kimmy Schmidt in the Netflix show. And Kenneth and Tracy Morgan is helping Kenneth on this date, and she's blind. And Kenneth finally comes clean. It's like, oh, my friend Tracy has been helping me with all of this because I'm very bad at dating. She's like, oh, well, can I feel your face? She's like, yes, please. And then she goes, oh, I think I have to go now. And then she's walking away. Tracy Jordan is like, you're ugly, right? She's like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm hot. He's like, yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
I'm pretty sure I'm hot. Well, you mentioned one before we started rolling that I really liked.
Yeah. So it's Tom Cruise, and it was early on in his film career, and I don't know if he's got like a soft spot for it, being
who he is.
yeah, but it's a sci-fi movie. But it's just, this one's more fantasy than anything. It's called Legend.
Yeah.
And not I Am, but
Just Legend.
Just Legend. And it's a pretty cool story. So it's basically like you have this. He's essentially the devil, and he's trying to come into the living world. And the way that he can come there is he sacrifices a maiden with a unicorn horn. And I mean, that's really the most the story gives you about this movie.
Wasn't Tim Curry the one that was the devil?
I think he was.
I think, want to say.
I can pull it up real quick on the cast, but yes, he was Darkness.
Yes,
is his title. And so basically, that's all it was Darkness trying to come into the world and take it over from light. But they end up defeating Darkness and restoring the horn of the unicorn, bringing the unicorn back to life.
That lovely unicorn.
And outside of that, that is basically
that's the premise.
It's a simple story that they made a pretty cool movie off of.
Yeah. It's like the Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
They're just trying to find the crystal.
Yes.
That's the movie. There's other stuff that happens in between, but that's the main point of the movie.
That's it.
Well, let's see here. We get a mixture of rom-coms. We got some Return of the Living Dead. Let's see here. So,
so this is gonna be a shout out to my dad. It was another movie that I watched as a kid. I was probably too young to watch it, but it's Just One of the Guys.
Yep.
Probably not the best to be watching when you're 10, but anyway. I asked my dad a very good question that I got yelled at for asking, and it was a scene in there. It's like, so, Dad, what's a blowjob? So, yeah, basically it's the story of a girl who's writing a story for her newspaper at her school, and she thinks she's getting a bad rap on it because she's a girl. And she ends up taking it over to another school, submitting it to their paper there, where the guidance counselor, or the head editor of the program, ends up telling her, no, you know this is okay, but it's very boring. Like, there's no passion in it. And even he flips. He's like, just because you're a guy doesn't mean you can't write this with feeling.
Yeah.
To when she gets really pissed off. It's like, bitch, I am a girl.
Yeah, because the whole thing is she goes to the other school as a guy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, tries to take on the role completely and befriends, another guy there. And they become, like, best buds. But she ends up falling in love with him.
And Johnny is the, what's his name in there? I can't remember.
I can't remember what his name is, actually, in that movie. But, yeah, Johnny from Karate Kid.
So
Cobra Kai.
Oh.
So
William
he
Zabka.
was, he's basically the heel in every 80s movie he was in. But
Yeah.
so he was the good-looking bully guy of the school, and he was dating the hottest girl there. So the guy that she ends up falling in love with, and she's just trying to like hip him up and like bring him up to the times. He ends up asking out the hottest girl in school, quote unquote, and they go to the prom. And the ending of the story is she finally reveals A, that she loves him, and that B, she's a woman.
You should always lead off with the first part first. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're gonna pretend to be somebody else and then tell somebody that you fall in love with, hey, I'm not a guy. You might want to say first, I'm not a guy.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with you. Never say I'm in love with you. Oh, and by the way, I'm not a guy.
Yeah.
Like now, or do you mean like eventually? Or?
And this was something we were talking about
Like emotionally,
offline.
I'm not.
Yeah. I'd be like, that's a problem.
This is what we were talking about it before the episode. Is the funny part of the scene. It was like he's not believing her. It's like, so finally she just unbuttons her shirt and shows him her boobs. He's like, "You've got tits? Where did you get tits?" And then he runs away. They get in an argument, and she runs out and kisses him at the prom in front of everybody. And then everybody's like, "Oh," and they're like, "Don't worry, he has tits."
Oh, that's okay then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other one was like the girl that had the hots for him, because she said she was like, "Wow, he looks like Ralph Macchio." It's like,
She really did look like Ralph Macchio.
She did. So they go to like that. They go to that beach corner or whatever, in the little cave, and they're drinking beers. And she tries to feel him up, but she pulls out a sock that she was putting as the bowl.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You don't have to do that to impress me. How small could it be?" She's like, "You have no idea."
Well, and her brother in the movie was funny too, because he was just like a hornball.
Yeah.
Just like your average teenage guy. But he was the one. He's helping her. He's like, no, you got to walk like this.
Yeah,
And
right.
he's like, but I think he's the one who told her about putting a sock in there.
And he goes and stands up and goes, "Damn, I gotta start doing that."
So
Buddy,
that
I think his
sounds
name
like
was.
a rip
Yeah.
off of the Birdcage.
No.
Like when they're trying to
Technically, the
teach
birdcage would have ripped them off.
Yeah.
But Robin Williams trying to teach Nathan Lane how to walk at the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's one of the funniest scenes.
No, that's good.
And also when like Nathan Lane comes out wearing a suit and was like, "Yeah, nice," and then he like crosses his legs like, "Are you wearing stockings?"
No.
But I remember she went as her name was Terry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the character name was Terry. And then was that her actual real name, or not her character name as both people, as both the girl and the guy?
I think so. Yeah. It was. But so like, her boyfriend's name was Kevin,
Yeah.
and he's sitting there all day. She's been calling the house Kevina. Leaving messages of she just loves your hairy chest. Then Bud's like, "Go ahead, show him your hairy chest."
Yeah. Go ahead there. Kavina.
Yeah, he fucks with her through the whole movie too.
Yeah, Buddy he's funny. And I think he ends up like hooking up with like one of her friends or something.
No, it was the girl from the other school that like was like.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because like midway through there, he was like, "I need your help right now, bud. You gotta go in there." It's like she's half naked in my room. Is she really half naked?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he just goes off.
So a good another good year for Mr. Stallone. So he had Rocky 4.
Yeah.
And Rambo. I
Rambo First Blood.
Part 2. That always confused me even as a kid.
Yeah.
Rambo First Blood Part 2. It's like, why didn't you just make the one movie and just call it First Blood, Second Blood, or Third
right.
Blood? Or,
I watched that movie after I watched Hot Shots Part 2. Because after it made fun of it, I was like, all right, I have to see the source material. I was like, I kind of like Hot Shots better.
Yeah, right. Because he's sitting there and he's just shooting up, and
Unloading.
everybody just keeps going up and
And
dying.
there's like a kill count at the
Yeah,
top of the
yeah.
screen.
It's like compared to Rocky First Blood or Rambo.
And he's like, you're at Terminator level.
Yeah. And then he just grabs the bullets and throws it out.
Well, when the gun runs out of ammo, the bullet casings are up to his waist.
Yeah.
And
He's like completely surrounded.
There's one guy left, so he pulls out the bow, and then he picks up the chicken. It's one of the funniest scenes in that movie. And when they're trying
Because that's the one where he's like making fun of Robin Hood. Because that was the slow-mo arrow let go. But and it's like the chicken face. And you just hear, and then it goes to the guy's chest, and the chicken lays an egg.
And it had a lot of. I don't normally like shtick comedy, but it had a lot of that in that movie. Especially when Ryan Stiles is leading the group to go back to the helicopter landing, and they run into damn, it's a gate. Oh, it's locked. But it's waist high, and they can just reach over and undo the latch. But one of the wounded guys they're carrying back is underwater, and they're like.
oh, it's been a while. 40.
Drink up. So there's a sci-fi movie that came out in '85 that
Is it the 40 under 40?
no
You're welcome.
twice. Now I've heard you either love this movie or you hate this movie, and it was kind of the middle of the road review wise because I just had to look it up to see it. It's called Enemy Mine with Dennis Quaid.
Oh, yeah.
My mom loved that movie. And she got me into it when I was a kid. I like the movie, but there are people.
I liked it too.
There are people that I talk to like, oh, that movie fucking sucks. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
They were wrong. I'm sorry. I like when they have the football. Where he teaches them how to play. He's like, normally after the game, we don't eat the football, but they're eating the styrofoam out of it.
But it's a sci-fi twist on a tale that you've heard a billion times. It's just a really good movie. Dennis Quaid is, an Earth starfighter, and the alien is his enemy, but they both crash land on the planet. In order to survive, they have to start working together, and then they turn into an actual friendship.
And then you find out the males from that species carry the kids.
Yep.
So he's pregnant. And then, he helps raise the little kid. And I think it's after 10 years he finally gets rescued or something like that. But
It takes time.
Yeah. But yeah, and he adopts the alien kid. At the end of the movie, I think you find out the war is over and peace has been throughout their culture.
I would hope so after 10 years.
Yeah.
What you guys been doing this whole time?
But it's a really good movie. It's done really well. Dennis Quaid's an amazing actor, even back then. I don't know. Do you know who played the alien in that movie?
Louis Gossett Jr. I have no idea.
See if I can find
I'll check it. Keep going.
Yeah,
It is Louis.
It was actually Louis Gossett Jr.
All right, then. There you go. 40. Celebration.
But if you haven't seen it, it's well worth a watch. Looking at the reviews, it's middling across the board. So I can understand why some people are like, "Oh, this movie sucks." And it's like, "Well, this movie's awesome."
I used to watch it every time it was on, myself.
Well, even when it was on, obviously they had it edited down for time for commercials and everything, but they really didn't have to cut out the swear words or the naughty bits of the movie. It was generally very clean and good movie.
Yeah.
So putting it on TV just made sense. Like, we don't have to do a lot of work. Cut
Yeah.
out 30 seconds here for an ad break and shove that shit on TNT.
Yeah, it's not like trying to put,
American Pie or something.
Deadpool on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, Jesus. But there's no reason to put that on anything else.
Exactly.
That's a lot of editing work.
Yeah. Baby knife.
Yeah.
Also, one of my favorite spy movies came out, Spies Like Us.
Oh, yeah.
I recently just rewatched that movie. That movie's-
Doctor.
Doctor. Want to get some coffee? Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
They go to the centrifuge. Yeah.
Every time I hear that, it always reminds me of the movie Airplane. What's our vector, Victor? Roger.
Well, he's trying to get the appendix out, and he's to die in battle is a great honor. To die on a table is a disgrace. But one, this I have no back end on what this movie is, but I just kind of want to see it now. Barbarian Queen.
What is it called?
Yeah, isn't Arnold
Barbarian
Schwarzenegger
Queen.
in that movie?
Not that I can see.
Barbarian Queen. Laura Clarkson, Kat Shea, if I'm pronouncing that
Don
right.
Dunlap.
Frank
Zagarino.
Zagarino. Hey, it's Frankie Zagarino.
Yes, the top cast is 3 women and 1 man. And the title scene is all women in bikinis holding giant swords. What could go wrong?
Yep.
Yeah, that's like that movie Tommy Boy that I found. If you read the description, it's one sentence. She's like, she's a girl. She takes showers and she races cars.
They're definitely selling the showers.
Yeah. If we're on the topic of movies that I just learned today that came out in 1985 that I need to track down and watch
Get
now.
your hard drive out because you're going to be doing a lot of typing, people.
Yep.
Yeah.
This one's called Zone Troopers. This movie seems wild to me, and I have to find it and watch it. But I'm not signing up for MGM Plus to do that. Basically, reading the description, it's a bunch of World War II American GIs that get trapped behind Nazi enemy lines. And when they're going through the Italian countryside, they find a crashed alien spaceship. The pilot's dead, but they notice that one of the passengers actually has escaped. And it doesn't say why they're trying to hunt him down. I'm just assuming that he just slaughtered, the local farm or something like that. But the movie is about them.
He ate all my sheep.
The movie is about the GIs going after this missing alien. But they're also dodging the Nazi enemies, and they're also dodging what this says is the other aliens looking for the escaped person. Damn, this movie sounds awesome. Sick as hell. Why have I never heard about this?
Because it probably had a budget of $1.
Yeah.
And it was filmed in one afternoon.
Produced by Ed Wood.
Yeah, he was kind of. Oh God.
Ed Wood.
I really need to track down the movie Ed Wood with Vincent D'Onofrio about the making of Plan 9 from Outer Space.
With
Came out in the
Vincent
90s.
D'Onofrio.
Or wasn't he?
No, Johnny Depp.
No, but Vincent D'Onofrio was in it.
Was he?
Yeah. No. But I do need to track that movie down because it sounds like a bonkers good movie. And I've heard some stories about the making of Plan 9 from Outer Space, and I need to see this movie.
Well, Ed Wood is really, it's about his whole career. They just happen to partially focus on that
because that
one
was
scene.
that's what put him on the map. Not in a good way. But
Yeah.
No, never
I've
a good
seen
way.
Plan 9 from Outer Space. That movie is terrible. I mean, it is bad.
Well, just
And
I just know how this
I've
dead
seen
zone or
some really terrible movies, especially since starting this podcast.
Yes.
Well, we got another honorable mention for our 40-year-old movies, The Explorers,
yeah.
with Mr. Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix,
Yep.
and Jason Prieston.
Yep. Great movie.
I remember it I couldn't tell you the plot line of it, but
So the plot line goes: 3 friends. One kid is having this dream, and in his dream he sees this design, like this thing. He's always it's like this weird abstract thing in space and all this stuff, and then he basically sees a design in his dream, and he tells his friend about it. And basically, his friend is I think that's who River Phoenix is, Wolfgang, and he's like the sciencey kid. And so he's able to put something together, and what it does is it when he enters it in his computer, does whatever he does with it using that design, it basically, they create a thing where they a force field thing happens, like this little bubble, and they
Oh,
can
okay.
maneuver it. They can make it move around.
Huh.
So then they decide that they can make it bigger, and then they build a spaceship out of carnival like parts. Like they found this old carnival seat on a ride, and they use all these parts and build it. And basically, they're going to make this force field thing so they can fly. And they just enjoying flying around. What they don't realize is it's actually connected to his dream, and all the stuff that he did was from these aliens, kind of like sending out a call to Earth. And so they get sucked into space and to the mothership, or not a mothership, but a ship of aliens. And they think it's going to be some amazing experience with these aliens. Basically, it's just these green gooply it's a guy and a girl. And so they're basically telling them all this stuff about, they learned everything from watching like satellite images from TVs and stuff. So like, commercials and stuff like that.
And it turns out that those two aliens are like teenagers too,
they're
right?
teenagers that ran away from their father.
Right, okay, yeah.
And then so they get caught and they're like, you're just kids? And then it gets disappointed. But basically that's the premise, is that his dream allows them to create this thing that lets them float up and fly around. But it's a fun movie. So yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of aliens, Cocoon came out in 1985.
Oh, yeah.
Did it really?
Yep.
I've seen the first one. I've seen both of them, but I only remember the first one.
Well, that's the way to make 80 people turn into 40s.
Yeah. 40.
All right, I'm going to give the audience a little break. That second one didn't count.
You need to drink then.
I finished my Celsius.
We haven't said it in like 20 minutes, so
They
need to
don't
catch
need
up.
2 in a row. If they're
Yeah.
listening to this when this goes live, it's
You've
3
never
o'clock in the
drank
morning.
2 drinks in a row?
I didn't know 40 was going to turn you into a vagina.
Yeah. That counts.
I can't say no to that one.
But we'll run down a few of them now. We can talk a little in depth about some of them, but we're going to have to kind of hit the list here because we're going to get close to out of time. But a couple honorable mentions of really great movies that came out. The Color Purple. It's a
The one
classic
with Bruce
film.
Willis, correct?
No.
Oh.
Just keep going.
Okay. Anyway. You all know Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, the best Mad Max movie out there in my opinion.
I would agree.
Yeah, I would have to say, that one, and then the first one, and that second one is whatever.
No, this is the second one.
I thought Beyond the Thunderdome was number 3.
No, that's the second movie.
Well, then it goes 2, 1, 3.
It was Road Warrior and
Yep.
Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. But this one is the one where Tina Turner is in it, and she's hosting Thunderdome.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We'll skip through some of these, but Real Genius,
With Val
Yes.
Kilmer.
phenomenal
Real Genius.
movie. Ali Feld. Why does he go into her closet? Why do you go into her closet? To get my clothes. That's not why he goes in there. Of course not. He's twice your size, Mitch. Think a guy like that fit in his clothes? Shoot, 10 points ahead of me. Thinks a guy like that can fit into his clothes.
What was the other like douchebag with the glasses?
Kent.
It's like Kent or Mitch. This is Kent. This is what happens when you turn into like a turtle douchebag or something. Kent, this is water, or this is ice. This is what happens when water
What
freezes.
freezes? Yeah.
He's like, oh no, chemical reaction. Now I hope everything doesn't explode. What?
There he goes running back. I do know the seniors. He does. He said this is ice. This is what happens when water gets cold. This is Kent. This is what happens when you're too sexually frustrated. Really? What about the time I found you in your room naked with a bowl of Jello? He did not. It's true. I was hot and I was hungry. And then they implant that hearing device in his head or in his ear, and he's like, "Kent, wake up." And he's like, "This is God, Kent." And then he's talking to him for a while, and he's like, "Oh, and Kent, stop playing with yourself." It is God.
It is God.
I like that how to get back at him, the one thing, they dismantle his car and put it back together in his room.
Oh yeah.
And then they put it with all those hydraulics and stuff in there. It's just like pop it up and down. But of course, one of the best parts about that movie is at the end when they get back by filling the house, the professor's house up with popcorn, and then when they misdirect the laser to hit the house, and it blows up his house all with the popcorn.
All with the popcorn in it. That's awesome.
Speaking of movies that I didn't know existed, now that I do, I need to track down and watch. It's called Delivery Boys. So the description in this it's got 3.9 out of 10 on IMDb. This is a terrible
So
movie.
it's got to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triumph of cinema.
The description is, which again is a one run-on sentence long, says hookers, sculptors, and ex-Nazis detain pizza boys on the night of their breakdancing contest.
There's a lot of Nazi stuff going on in 85, apparently.
Well, I mean, you know.
I mean, the war
Yeah.
ended 40 years before
We should have
that.
been focused on the Russians at that point.
I know, yeah.
I mean, well, that was Red Dawn, but hey.
That's true. That's true.
The Cold War was still going on.
So we also had Commando come out.
Yeah.
The Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's when he had the kid. He was on the beach and he had the 4 rocket launcher on his shoulder.
That movie was one of those movies that if you go back and watch it now, it just starts and it just ends.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
there's not like a build up to the beginning. It's just, it goes. It's just, it's in there. It's already in motion. And then when it's end, it's over.
It's done.
I'm just saying, it just begins.
Okay, I'm going to have to take a look at this one. This one looks like it's great. Ninja Terminator.
I have never seen that. I kind of want to.
3 martial arts students search for a golden statue reputed to have magical powers. And that's it.
Interesting.
Hard rock zombies. Hitler cultists kill everyone in a heavy metal band but the lead singer, who brings them back as zombies.
Again with the Nazis, man. All right, then. Hey, we can't forget Fright Night. Fright Night came out in 1985.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. We had several Chuck Norris movies come out, too. This is literally the third. Missing in Action 2. Code of Silence. I'm like, did Chuck Norris do nothing but make B movies in 1985?
Well, we almost forgot a really good comedy or a really fun movie, Brewster's Millions.
Yes, Brewster's Millions.
You can't beat Brewster.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Red Sonja came out. Pee-wee's Big Adventure came out.
That was before he got in trouble in that movie theater.
Directed by who? Directed by who?
John Hughes?
No.
Oh.
Directed by who?
Martin Scorsese?
No.
Oliver Stone?
40.
Tim Burton.
Oh. That actually makes sense because there are a couple of creepy ass scenes in that movie.
Well, if you notice, it's his signature thing. There's that one scene where he gets picked up by the trucker, the lady, the big redhead lady, and there's a scene where she looks over at him and then her eyes like pop out of her head, but it's like all stop, like claymation type looking. That's his signature thing.
So apparently, 1985 also had a lot of. Every other movie was ninja movies. It's look, Ninja Thunderbolt.
Okay.
What is this one? Justice Ninja Style. Ninja Terminator.
American Ninja.
American Ninja, right?
Ninja the Protector. Like,
Oh, it's good to see they have multiple tasks.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, well,
not
like-
just a ninja, they're a protector.
Ninja Champion. 1985 was officially the year of the ninja.
Well, you got to remember too, in the early '80s, late '70s, early '80s, all of, like Bruce Lee stuff was coming out, or in the '70s, like he was huge in that. So the martial arts thing came about. as why that translates to ninjutsu, but yeah, there was a lot of ninja stuff going on there, man.
A Life of Ninja.
So I want to read you
Yeah.
the description and I want to see if you can guess the title of the movie.
Okay.
You're not going to be able to because this has a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Why challenge me?
Because this is funny as hell. Teenage campers discover that aliens in need of human blood are behind a rash of recent appearances. It's the only description of this movie.
Wait, read that again one more time.
Teenage campers discover that aliens in need of human blood are behind a rash of recent disappearances.
Okay. All right. Hang on a second.
And no one famous is in this movie.
Well, you don't need to be famous.
Not even nowadays famous. Like, this is where they came from and got the start. There is no one in this movie.
Can you give me any kind of hint to the name of it? Is it like a one-word name?
4. But 2 of them are like of the.
Oh. Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Nope. Christ.
Something. What was that one from Mars? There's something about Mars. Invaders from Mars.
Nope. It's called Evils of the Night.
Didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But looking at that poster, I have to see this now.
Well, Every time a movie was made poorly, they put a half-naked woman on
Yeah,
the poster.
yeah.
It's the only way they're getting butts in the seats.
sex sells.
It's as true as today as it was back then.
Ooh, Silver Bullet came out in '85.
Well,
And again, we're getting close to almost the end of the episode, so we are probably going to miss a lot because there's a lot of great movies in there. Did we mention Legend of Billie Jean? I know we talked about that offline.
I think we did.
Okay,
Maybe-
did we?
So-
even if not, we did it right now. 40.
Yes.
Yeah.
40.
Well, I didn't know if it was online or offline, but I do remember having a conversation. It's wild to me that movie had a PG-13 rating.
Yes, yeah. Well, a lot of things in the 80s had that. Like, it was either how long was the nudity that you were doing and how many F-bombs did you use. And that was it.
But this one involves a teenage girl getting raped and then her brother killing the dude and then them having to run away and then becoming like folk heroes.
That is pure good old-fashioned
Yeah.
American entertainment. Right
There you go.
It's
America.
It's like the general's daughter.
Yes.
Really messed up.
All right, so we only got a couple minutes left, so I'm just going to flash fire some names off here. Fletch.
Fletch.
No.
Yes. We have Police Story House, William Cat movie, Police Academy 2, their first assignment, Mischief, funny movie, Private Resort, My Life as a Dog, who knows. I saw that one Barbarian Queen again. A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, that's the fifth one that we were talking about. You got, Summer Rental, John Candy.
Oh, yes.
We've got The Stuff, a good, funny horror movie. The Sure Thing. Jewel of the Nile. Demons. We've got No Retreat, No Surrender. That was another fighting movie.
Underworld.
That's Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Not the good one.
Cat's Eye. That's the Stephen King one. That had, it had actually, I think, a young Drew Barrymore in that.
This one I've just been holding on to. Cocaine Wars.
Cocaine Wars, man.
I just got to read like what this is about.
The Man with One Red Shoe.
Yes, great Tom Hanks movie. And there's so many that came out again. I'm not going to be able to read all these, but I believe Turk 182 came out in 1985.
Ooh. Jackie Chan, The Protector.
The Protector.
1985.
Man, the Care Bears movie. Yay!
The Care Bears movie.
Hey, who doesn't want to see some Care Bears? Death Wish 3, Bronson style.
Bronson, yeah.
I always wondered if this world would, if the next administration was like, could be made of Charles Bronson, Chuck Norris. And, trying to think of who else we'd want in there. Oh, Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
That would be an amazing administration.
Oh, he can shoot people.
But again, we are right about out of time, so I can't continue reading these off. But again,
Just real
there's
quick,
plenty.
in preparation for my birthday, I will be watching multiple times the movie This Is 40. Last drink of the episode.
And how old are you going to be?
More than 39.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us in Movies Turning 40. And
All right, that's the last
congratulations to Gavin. Future congratulations to Patrick.
Thank you.
Join the clan. Welcome. We'll get your starter packs for you for your geriatric lifestyle from here on in.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no
I'm
problem.
waiting for my sleep paralysis demon just to get bigger.
But that is all the time. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and continue to listen. We'll start, I believe, being able to give updates the next couple weeks about the film festival coming up. Hopefully be able to have Doug on if he has time. Kind of go over and give some updates because we are at the end of January and February now.
By the time when this goes out, it will be February.
Yep. So we'll be already in month 2 of the year, but keep listening. But until then, for Movie Talks and Chill, we're your hosts. I am Tony Serrato.
I'm Gavin Butts.
I am fucking old.
Yep.
Patrick Wall.
And that means he's 40. All right, guys, take care.